Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to give you my thoughts on the 2012 release of Snow White and the Huntsman. And this is a movie I've meant to touch base on again for a while. I did watch, I believe, somewhere at least, talk about the sequel/prequel Huntsman Winter's War a little while ago. But with this being released in 2012, I have not watched it since, and I've meant to for a bit now. And now better than ever, which is for sure with this movie for me, because I really, really like this movie. I liked it fairly well when it came out in 2012. Watching it again now, it holds up, and I think I might like it even more than I did, verging on loving it to a point. I don't know, this is my kind of fairy tale, man. This classic fairy tale spun into, dark fantasy and such, while still being, PG-13, but having certain imagery or moments that kind of push it a bit. This definitely kind of fits in with the style of, the Maleficent films, which I absolutely love, with Angelina Jolie. They could do a whole shared universe with us if they wanted. But yeah, this stars Kristen Stewart as Snow White. Her father is killed when she was a young girl, and the kingdom being overtaken by Queen Ravenna, played by Charlize Theron, of course. Snow White grows up, and she manages to escape, and she ends up being tracked down by the Huntsman, played by Hemsworth, being sent by the Queen. And the Huntsman, of course, has his own sort of backstory and agenda with it. And their destinies per se are shaped or altered, by that crossroads, I suppose. There's my flimsy way of explaining the story. With Winter's War, the film after this, you do get more of the Huntsman story, fleshed out, and it also acts as a sequel, sort of wrapping up the kind of this world in general to a point. I like that one as well, but I don't know which one I'd pick, because I absolutely loved watching this film again. Kristen Stewart, people give her a really, really bad rap. I've talked about it quite a bit recently, like her recent films like Underwater, Love Lies Bleeding, even from this year. She's become quite a good actress, in my opinion. And even though this is back in 2012, I think she showed a lot more promise than people give her credit for as well. I liked American Ultra then as well, Speak, which was a bit before this. And she's quite good here. I think she is fairly emotive and expressive. And she definitely kind of fills that, kind of ideal, book description of Snow White. Now, I'm not one of those freaking out over the Rachel Ziegler thing either. But for a classic Snow White wrapped up in a dark version of it, I think Stewart fit the bill very, very nicely. So I think she did, well with the material. You have Charlize Theron, who might have been the acting highlight to a point. She is able to successfully go between being a bit kind of suitably over the top, as well as kind of dialing in and bringing some organic emotion and just command to her side of things too. I think she's fantastic. Chris Hemsworth, of course, is in the midst of Thor and the Avengers and such. So the Huntsman is a very easy role, I'm sure, for him to slip into. If it wasn't for the slight difference in the coloring and the look of the character, he probably could just walk over from one set to the other. Because Huntsman is essentially Thor to a point. Of course, a very different backstory, and Hemsworth does this kind of part so well. I forgot how much acting he really had to put into this, though. Especially as you do hear more about what happened with his wife and everything, and kind of how he's moved by her memory and kind of what Snow White can now symbolize to him. He did really well. You also have Sam Claflin in here, a boy who knew Snow White as a child. He does fine. You have Ian McShane, Eddie Marsan, Nick Frost, Toby Jones as dwarves, but they're not actually dwarves, but it's still kind of nice to see those actors pop up in those roles. It is acting, they are playing parts, okay? They're it's not meant to be reality. I know there's some controversy around the release of this movie, and as well as kind of how they decided on the story for the sequel prequel. But we're not a tabloid channel here. I'm not going to comment on what went around in and around that. But yeah, I thought it was shot well. It has a really good look about it. Um, the action, although PG-13, I think was always staged nicely. It feels kind of visceral and dark and dangerous world as it should. Uh, I for one like fairy tales dressed up like this, and it still has its classic elements that works in without feeling forced. You also have Bob Hoskins in here, Sam Sproul, who plays Charlize Theron's brother in this. He's sort of her right hand, and he has that very kind of distinguishable evil look to him. Fairly creepy in the movie. Sort of like our secondary villain. I think he worked effectively for his part. But yeah, I honestly really, really like this film. I don't know why it kind of has a bad rap on the internet, even just the film itself. And like I already said, it's shot well. It's visually, I think, really appealing. It has like that dark gothic look to it. And people say, "Oh, it's so drab and dull." You're kind of missing the point of the look of it, and it looks bloody fantastic. And not just that, the whole plot point of just this life and sort of light, just being sucked out of the kingdom with Ravenna's rule. It fits into the world they're in and the fantasy of it all. And on top of that, they do have like that brighter, more not voluptuous, like more full, green and full of life part of it. When they meet the fairies and everything, so you still get that. So it mixes again the classic and this dark version of it, I think, well. But yeah, I think this is a very, very good movie. I'm rating it honestly an A-, somewhere in there. I have to rewatch the Huntsman Winter's War again, which I think which I remember really liking as well. But as of now, this is just a really complete movie to me. It's a little over 2 hours, but it honestly holds my interest. It does. Say what you want about that, but that's mine. That's my take. You're allowed to have yours. Don't act like children. But yeah, let me guys think about both of these movies. How do you feel about it? Follow me on TikTok, of course, Twitter, Instagram. Peace.